You awaken, not to the sound of an alarm, but to the echo of a ghost, the specter of a story that played out in the darkness of your mind. A fleeting image, a familiar feeling, an endless fall or a magnificent flight, and then, with the first blink in the morning light, it all collapses. Its fragments remain, like the shards of a broken mirror. You try to piece them together, but the logic of the waking world sweeps them away, dismissing them as worthless. The modern world has conditioned us to ignore these remnants. It calls them random neural firings, or the mental detritus of the previous day. We are told that the real world is the waking world, the world of logic, of steel and concrete, a world where anything that cannot be measured is deemed unreal. And yet an ancient, forgotten part of you refuses to believe this lie. You feel it, don't you? That nagging sense that the images, the impossible scenarios, were more than just noise. The feeling that the most important message of your life was written on a slip of paper that burns to ash the moment you try to read it. This chasm, this division, is the silent agony of the modern human. We are living with only half of our being. We draw meticulous maps for our careers, our wealth, our relationships, but we have lost the map to our own soul. We chart the oceans and travel to the stars, yet we are terrified to explore the continents within. We search for answers in the deafening noise of the outside world, while every night our unconscious whispers, shouts, and sends warnings in the absolute silence, but we are not listening, or worse, we have been taught not to. But what if I told you that this amnesia is a choice? That the messages aren't lost, but are merely waiting for a decoder? What if I told you that your dreams are not random, but are the most precise, personal, early warning system you will ever possess? Today, we break the silence. We learn to listen. We will journey into the world of a master cartographer of the soul, Carl Jung, to decode the 5 messages your unconscious is desperately trying to send you. Messages that have the power to change the course of your life, if you only have the courage to hear them.
To hear them, you must first understand the instrument of listening. You must possess the key that can turn darkness into revelation. To find this key, we must turn away from the noise of the modern world and journey to the work of a man who devoted his life to mapping the uncharted continents of the psyche, Carl Gustav Jung. Jung was no ordinary psychologist. He was an explorer. After his definitive break from his mentor, Sigmund Freud, he did what few thinkers ever dare. He undertook a deliberate, years-long descent into the maelstrom of his own unconscious, a journey he chronicled in his legendary Red Book. He entered into dialogue with the phantoms and gods within his own soul to relearn the forgotten language of the psyche. What he brought back from that ordeal would forever change our understanding of who we are. To grasp his discovery, you must first understand the landscape of the mind. Picture it in 2 parts. The first is the small, well-lit island you call I. This is your conscious mind, your ego, the CEO of your personality, the part that decides, analyzes, and is listening to these words right now. It loves order, control, and clearly defined borders. But this island is not the whole world. Surrounding this island is a vast, dark, and powerful ocean, the unconscious. Jung discovered that this ocean was not merely a cellar for repressed desires and painful memories, as Freud had largely proposed. It was far more ancient and expansive. It is the source of our instincts, our intuitions, our creativity, and most importantly, It is the reservoir of the collective unconscious, the shared psychic inheritance of all humanity, which reveals itself through the universal symbols and myths he called archetypes. And Jung's master key, the revelation that unlocks the meaning of dreams, lies in understanding the relationship between this tiny island and its infinite ocean. He called this relationship the principle of compensation. Your psyche, your total being, like nature itself, is in a constant search for balance, for homeostasis. But our conscious life, the life we live on that island, is almost always one-sided. Society demands we be logical, so we bury our feelings. Our culture praises material success, so we neglect our spiritual needs. We want to appear as a good person, so we exile our aggression, our envy, and all our darker traits into the depths of the ocean. As a result, the island of our consciousness begins to tilt. It becomes too dry, too rational, too controlling, or too timid, and this is when the ocean moves. The unconscious, through a dream, sends a wave to the shore of the island to compensate for the imbalance.
If your conscious life has become too rigid and predictable, the dream will show you chaos and adventure. If you have denied your own power and aggression, the dream will present it to you as a monster in pursuit. If you refuse to connect with your own emotions, the dream will plunge you into a flood of water. These dreams are not an attack. They are the medicine. They are the nightly report from the ship's crew to its captain. You, as the captain, the ego, stand on the deck, looking at the map and the stars, charting the course. But the crew, the unconscious, is below deck, in the engine room and the cargo hold. They hear the troubling knock in the engine. They smell the smoke. They feel the ship listing dangerously to one side. They cannot write a report in the captain's formal logical language. Their language is the ship itself, the language of tremors, of sounds, of gut feelings. The dream is this symbolic report. It is the cry from the unconscious to pay attention to a danger you have become blind to. To ignore these reports is catastrophic. It leads to what Jung called neurosis. For Jung, a neurosis wasn't just a clinical disorder. He defined it as the suffering of a soul which has not discovered its meaning. That ambient anxiety, that hollow depression, those addictions, those repeating toxic relationships, all of them are symptoms of a civil war within your psyche. A war between a tyrant king, the ego, who insists everything remain under his limited control, and a populace, the repressed parts of the unconscious, whose needs have been ignored for decades. The dreams are the first whispers of this rebellion. They are your chance to listen to the needs of your people and restore peace and balance to your kingdom. If the whispers are ignored, they become shouts. If the shouts are ignored, they become an earthquake that shatters the very foundations of your island. This is what we call a breakdown, a profound existential crisis. Your dreams, therefore, are a warning that your conscious life has deviated from the path of balance, the path of wholeness, the path of your true destiny. They are your internal compass, spinning wildly to tell you that you have lost your true north. The question then is this: what form does this report from the deep take in our world today? How does this ancient, powerful consciousness communicate its warnings in a language we can understand? Its language is universal. Its symbols are primordial. We must simply learn its alphabet.
The unconscious does not speak in the language of logic. Its language is that of symbols, of myths, of raw feeling. To learn its alphabet, we must learn to recognize its most urgent words. We will now decode 5 of these universal messages, 5 warnings sent from the deep. These are not just bad dreams, they are invitations to a truer state of being. Listen to your own life as we proceed. See which one resonates. Warning number 1. The confrontation with the shadow. The first and perhaps most unsettling message you will receive comes from the darkest corner of your psyche. Jung called this place the shadow. It is the heavy suitcase you drag behind you through life, stuffed with every part of yourself you have deemed unacceptable. Your aggression, your selfishness, your envy, your laziness, your raw power. These things are not necessarily evil. They are simply incompatible with the idealized image of yourself you wish to present to the world. To be a good, kind, or successful person, you have denied and repressed these vital parts of your energy. But energy is never destroyed. It is only transformed. And your unconscious will show you this exiled energy in very specific dreams. Perhaps you dream that you are being chased by a terrifying, faceless monster or a relentless killer. The faster you run, the closer it gets. Or perhaps you have a shocking dream in which you, yourself, are the one committing a terrible act, a theft, a betrayal, even a murder. And you awaken with either horror or a strange sense of justification. Sometimes the shadow appears as a doppelganger, a dark twin who does all the things you would never dare. What do these dreams mean? The monster chasing you is you. It is the power, the assertiveness, the raw life force that you have disowned and now fear. The more you run from it in the dream, the weaker and more anxious you become in your waking life. The crime you commit in the dream is not a prophecy, it is a metaphor. It is the symbolic eruption of a rage you have swallowed or a boundary you needed to set but did not. If you ignore this warning, the shadow will begin to run your life from behind the scenes. In the waking world, it manifests as projection. You begin to hate in others the very traits you deny in yourself. It appears as sudden volatile fits of rage over minor issues. It drives you towards self-sabotage, causing you to destroy your own success just when it is within reach. The message from the unconscious is clear. Stop running. Turn around and face your pursuer. This dream is not an invitation to battle your shadow, but to recognize it, to ask it what it wants. It is a call to integrate its energy, to find a conscious and constructive pathway for it in your life. Instead of repressing your anger, use its energy to set healthy boundaries. Instead of denying your ambition, channel it into an ethical pursuit. The purest gold is always found in the darkest places.
Warning number 2. The unlived life. The second warning is just as powerful, but often carries with it a sweet and profound sorrow. This warning is not about what you have repressed, but what you have abandoned. It is the message of your dormant potential, the dream of the artist, the writer, the adventurer, or the musician you could have been, but whom you sacrificed for security, for practicality, or for the approval of others. This warning appears in dreams that often feel wonderful, but leave a hollow ache upon waking. You have recurring dreams of flying, of soaring above the world, or of breathing effortlessly underwater. These are not just pleasant sensations. They are the cry of your soul for freedom, for perspective, for transcendence from the limitations of your daily life. Perhaps you dream of discovering a new hidden room in your childhood home, a room filled with marvelous things you never knew existed. That room symbolizes the parts of your personality and your talents that you have walled off.
or you dream of finding a lost treasure, an ancient artifact, a map to an unknown land. These are love letters from your truest self. They are reminders of a pact you once made with your own soul. When your waking life has become stuck in a safe but spiritless job, when your days have become a sterile repetition, the unconscious sends these dreams to tell you this is not all there is. Ignoring this warning leads to a slow death of the spirit. In the waking world, it manifests as a chronic boredom, a quiet desperation, a deep sense of meaninglessness even amidst material success. It is the feeling of being an imposter in your own life. You have become what the world wanted you to be, not who you were born to be. The message from the unconscious is an invitation. Follow the map to your own lost treasure. The dream is not telling you to quit your job and move to a remote island. Its message is more subtle. It is asking you to respectfully reintegrate that abandoned part into your life. If you dream of painting, buy a canvas. If you dream of writing, open a journal, even for 1 hour a week. You must show your soul that you are listening. Otherwise, you may one day awaken to find that those dreams no longer come because that potential has finally atrophied and died.
Warning number 3, the inner imbalance, anima and animus. The third warning strikes at the heart of your relationships, both with others and with yourself. Jung believed that within the psyche of every man there exists an unconscious feminine element he called the anima, and within every woman an unconscious masculine element called the animus. These are not just opposing energies, they are our soul image, the bridge to the deeper collective unconscious. The condition of this inner element reveals itself in very specific archetypal dreams. A man might repeatedly dream of a mysterious, seductive woman who lures him toward danger, a negative anima, or of a damsel in distress whom he must constantly rescue. A woman, on the other hand, might dream of a cruel, critical tyrant who belittles her, a negative animus, or of a handsome but unreliable stranger who disappears. These figures in your dreams are a direct reflection of your inner relationship with your contrasexual energy. If, as a man, you are overly logical, rigid, and unemotional in your conscious life, your anima will erupt in your dreams as a wild, chaotic, emotional figure to restore balance. If, as a woman, you have disowned your own power, assertiveness, and logic, your animus will appear in your dreams as a harsh inner critic. The catastrophe occurs when we ignore this warning. Then we unconsciously project this inner soul image onto real people in the outside world. The man with the damsel in distress anima will unconsciously fall in love with broken women he can fix, trapping himself in a toxic cycle of codependency. The woman with the tyrant animus will unconsciously be drawn to controlling or emotionally unavailable men because it is the only pattern of masculinity her psyche recognizes. This is the primary reason for our painful, repeating patterns in romantic love. The message from the unconscious is a firm command. Stop searching for your soul outside of yourself. These dreams are asking you to withdraw the projection. The man must stop trying to rescue others and learn to cultivate his own capacity for feeling, intuition, and relatedness, eros. The woman must stop seeking validation from external men and learn to develop her own logic, courage, and world-shaping spirit, logos. Only by creating a sacred marriage between these two poles within can we hope to achieve a mature and whole relationship in the outer world. Warning number 4, the wrong path. This warning is perhaps the most direct and anxiety-inducing feedback from your psyche. It is the message sent when your ego's entire life plan is in direct opposition to the orientation of the self, the true center and totality of your being.
These dreams are commonly known as anxiety dreams, but their symbolism is incredibly precise. You dream you are lost in a maze-like city or a dark forest with no way home. You are sitting down for a critical exam only to realize you are completely unprepared, that you haven't studied a single word. Perhaps you have the common dream of being inappropriately dressed. You are in your pajamas at a formal board meeting. Or you are driving a car, but you are not in the driver's seat, or the brakes have failed. You miss your train, your flight, your one chance to get where you need to go. What are these dreams saying? Being lost is a symbol of a spiritual and existential disorientation in your life. The exam is a metaphor for a life test. You feel you are failing because you are living by someone else's values, not your own. The inappropriate clothing represents your persona, the social mask you wear, which no longer fits your true self. You feel like a fraud. The car out of control is a classic symbol for a life whose direction is being dictated by others, your parents, society, your partner, while you are just a passive passenger. Ignoring these warnings leads to a deep sense of alienation and emptiness. It leads to imposter syndrome, where even when you succeed, you get no joy from it because you know the success belongs to the mask, not to you. You feel lonely in a crowd because no one knows the real person underneath the facade. The message from the unconscious is a radical call for honesty. The life you are living is not your own. The dream is not asking you to immediately abandon everything. It is asking you first to stop, to question, to ask yourself, is this my goal or someone else's? Is this my value or one I have inherited? The dream doesn't tell you what the right path is, but it is screaming that the current one is a dead end. And true courage is not found in continuing down the wrong road, but in admitting you are lost and beginning the search for a new map.
Warning number 5, the somatic warning. The final warning is perhaps the most subtle and yet the most vital. It is based on the principle of the absolute unity of the mind, psyche, and the body, soma. Your unconscious is not just concerned with your spiritual health, it is concerned with the health of the vessel in which your spirit resides. This warning appears when a physical imbalance is developing, often long before clinical symptoms become apparent. The psyche speaks in metaphors, so the warning about your body will also be symbolic. You might have recurring dreams about your house. The house in a dream is almost always a symbol for your body. Is the roof of your dream house leaking? Are its walls cracking? Is its foundation crumbling or flooded? These can point to potential issues within your physical systems. Perhaps you dream of your car's engine sputtering, smoking, or overheating. The car is the physical vehicle carrying you through life, and its engine is your heart. Or you might dream of a beloved animal that is sick or injured. Animals in dreams often represent our instinctive nature and our physical body. Jung and many therapists after him have documented cases where such dreams presage the diagnosis of a serious illness. This is not magic. It is the profound wisdom of the psyche-soma system. Your unconscious has access to subtle biochemical and energetic shifts that your conscious mind is completely unaware of. To ignore this warning is to ignore the body's whispers until they are forced to become the agonizing screams of disease. These warnings often accompany vague physical symptoms in waking life that doctors might dismiss as just stress. The message from the unconscious is a plea for reverence and attention. Tend to your temple. This dream is an invitation to take your physical well-being seriously, to pay attention to your diet, your rest, your stress levels, and the unresolved emotional trauma that may be lodging itself in your body. Your body is not a machine to be driven to the point of breakdown. It is a living, intelligent, sacred organism, a partner in your journey. To listen to your dreams is to listen to the wisdom of your entire being, on the level of the soul and on the level of the cell.
So you see, your dreams, this private nightly cinema, are not meaningless static. They are the native tongue of your soul. They are a loyal guide sent from the deepest part of your being to steer you toward wholeness, toward balance, and toward what Jung called the process of individuation. This is the sacred task of becoming the individual you were always meant to be, not the person that society, your family, or your fears have constructed. These 5 warnings are 5 gateways on that path. They are the map that shows you where you have strayed, which part of your essence you have neglected, and what treasure lies buried within your own depths. Do not fear them. Listen to them. Place a journal by your bedside, not for dry intellectual analysis, but as a ritual of respect, a way to show your unconscious each morning that its message has been received, a way to say, I am listening. This simple act in itself will begin to build a bridge between your 2 worlds, and the messages will only become clearer. And so I ask you, what symbol, what feeling, what recurring dream have you been ignoring for years? That pursuing shadow, that unfinished flight, that decaying house, that endless exam. If it came to you again tonight, with the knowledge you now possess, what is its message? This is not a solitary pilgrimage. In the comments below, share which of the 5 warnings resonated most deeply within you. And if you are ready to consciously begin this dialogue, to honor this covenant with your own soul, seal your intention by writing the words, I am listening, so that others on this path know they are not alone. Now that you can recognize the warnings, the next step is to act. Listening is the first step. Responding is the great work. In our next videos, we will journey directly into the crucible of the most dangerous, the most powerful, and the most rewarding of all the warnings, the shadow. We will learn how to confront our own darkness, not to destroy it, but to integrate its hidden gold and harness its formidable power. This is the unavoidable next step on the path of individuation. To ensure you do not miss this vital revelation, subscribe and activate the notification bell. Until then, listen to the silence and to your dreams.